Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you very much for being with us. I've had the opportunity of speaking to Amitabh Kant on several occasions over the years. He's somebody who has really driven the India story. He's been passionate about the India story. He has helmed affairs at the Niti Aayog. He's been involved with government at many levels. But India's growth comes at a time which is particularly challenging. What I'd like to do is talk with Amitabh about the prospects for India, what has been achieved over the last couple of decade plus, and what are some of the challenges. And I think my first question to you now is that we find ourselves in a situation where there is a great deal of volatility in West Asia. The Indian economy is dependent on energy. We have a partner, the United States, which is creating problems for us, some would suggest. Not our problem, but it's been imposed on us. To what extent does this potentially impact the India growth story?
So India's growth in the first quarter of this year has been fairly resilient at 7.7%. Last 2 years we've had growth which is been about in the region of about 7.6 to 7.7%. But energy is going to have a major implication on India if the war continues for a longer period in the next couple of quarters. And this is critical because India imports around 180 billion to 200 billion worth of fossil fuel. And it's very critical for India to move from energy dependency to energy independence and to move from fossil fuel to cleaner forms of energy, because you are dependent on fossil fuel, but India is climatically blessed. India's ability to do renewable energy has been proved by the fact that it has done over 270 gigawatt of renewable energy. The target is 500 gigawatt, but India, to my mind, should really push for 1500 gigawatt of renewable energy, should really push for battery storage in a very big way. We've already passed the Shanti bill, so we should push for nuclear as the base load in a very, very substantial manner. And therefore, India should push for a post-industrial society which is driven by cleaner forms of energy and really push for green hydrogen. Use renewable energy to crack water and produce green hydrogen and push for green hydrogen in the manufacturing process also. India has massive opportunity on that. Let the rest of the world be dependent on fossil fuel, but India's ability to drive clean energy is enormous because it is climatically blessed.
Let's talk about green hydrogen, the big concern, because I think a lot of the safety concerns have been addressed by and large from a technology standpoint. The concern is cost. Will we bring green hydrogen down to a cost which works for the common consumer?
The cost used to be $4.50 per kilogram. Recent tenders have demonstrated that the cost has come down to about $3 per kilogram. It's been driven by our oil companies. You need to bring green hydrogen into steel manufacturing, into fertilizer, many other areas. Those tenders should come out. I'm absolutely confident that India has the capacity to bring down the cost of green hydrogen down to $1 per kilogram by 2030. If anyone can do it in this world, it is India which has the capacity to do it, because the cost of renewable is the cheapest in India right now. No other country has the potential. India has the potential to be the cheapest manufacturer of green hydrogen, the lowest cost exporter of green hydrogen, and be the lowest, biggest producer of electrolyzers for the world. The Prime Minister just visited the L&T electrolyzer factory, the massive potential for electrolyzer manufacturing.
The transition to EVs, it's picking up, but some would suggest it's not picking up at the pace that we need to meet our clean energy transition. We are still dependent on Chinese technology, certainly battery technology as well. To what extent is this dependence a challenge for our own ambitions in terms of the transition to clean energy?
No, you were very right, Vishnu. We should accelerate the pace, and we should really say that the top 15 cities of India will only be driven by electric two-wheelers, three-wheelers in the next 3 years. We should also say that by 2030, all vehicles will go electric, and we should push for e-trucks in a very big way, and say that actually in the next 5 years, all trucks and buses should go electric. And this should be driven by the new CAFE norms, which are held up for over 3.5 years by the Department of Energy, by the Ministry of Power. So we should mandate that we'll go electric in a very big way.
Did you just say 2030?
For the four-wheelers.
For the
four-wheelers.
So in 4 years from now, a full transition across India.
My view is that in the next 3 years, all two-wheelers, three-wheelers, India has the capacity to do this. And if you don't do this, you lose. You are one of the biggest exporters of automobiles. If you don't do this, the entire global market will be captured by Chinese technology. So you need to do this in the next 3 years for two-wheelers, three-wheelers. You need to do it for trucks and buses in the next 5 years by consolidating demand and floating large tenders. And you need to do it by 2030 for car manufacturing. If we do not do this, through both mandating and for cleaning up your cities and improving the quality of air, for our citizens of India, you will lose global markets. You will never be able to technologically leapfrog. And India has the potential to leapfrog in this technology.
If we are to have a massive jump to the utilization of electric vehicles, we must also have a huge jump in semiconductor availability. And it's not just for the EV space, it's for every space. There are a few fabs which are coming up in India, but there is a problem about critical earths and their availability. We will ultimately still need to depend on China to a certain extent. In terms of Indian semiconductor manufacture, where are we and where do we need to be?
I'll come down to semiconductor, but I forgot to answer a little bit on this battery manufacturing, because I wanted to tell you that there are 6 Indian companies which have got into battery manufacturing. They will, over a period of the next 3 to 4 years, make India totally independent of the Chinese supply chain in battery manufacturing. From Tata's to Reliance to Excite to many 6 companies have got into battery manufacturing in India. Second thing is, it's very, very important. If you look around the world, countries which grow and prosper, and only 3 countries in the world have been able to grow at rapid pace post-World War II. It was Japan post-World War II, later Korea, and in recent times China. They could grow and expand because they got into cutting-edge areas of growth. And when you get into cutting-edge areas of growth, you start exporting new technologies. And therefore, the future of the world will be driven by the chips and semiconductors. And I'm really delighted.
But where is it happening in India at the pace?
So you have 12 different companies who have got into semiconductor manufacturing. India is a center for design manufacturing, but 12 different companies which have got into semiconductor chip manufacturing in India. You'll see the results coming out in the next 2 to 3 years. A huge work has been done by the semiconductor mission. There are 2 things which I think must be appreciated, that this government has pushed for semiconductors, this government has pushed for the AI mission, and this government has pushed for the green, to my mind, the green hydrogen mission. But they must ensure that the electric vehicle movement must spread very rapidly, otherwise we lose the global markets.
Our demographic dividend, we've spoken about this in the past, is perhaps our biggest boon. Many would say we aren't doing enough. To make use of our young population means that we need to reskill and upskill them. Are we doing that fast enough?
So before I come down to skills, I want to say that there are 3 things which India needs to do. First of all, to my mind, we are getting into a new era with these new free trade agreements. It's very important for all your viewers to understand this, that if you're going to sign 12 FTAs, including with Europe and UK, you are going to see investments coming in from their companies into India. And that's why makes it absolutely imperative for Indian companies to become globally competitive and to drive exports. And you need to drive exports both on manufacturing and on services side. And Indian companies must have the ambition to penetrate global markets. that ambition must be brought in. If you do not do this, FTAs will ensure that our businesses will lose out, others will get in. And therefore, Indian companies must focus on penetrating global markets. Don't be stuck by domestic market. And I'm saying this is the most important thing which Indian businesses must do. Get a global mindset, not merely in manufacturing, but also in services. And that means that sectors like tourism, we need to really market India to bring, if you're buying 2,000 planes, if you are not able to market India externally and you're going to say that I'm only going to drive domestic tourism, that's not possible. 2,000 plane means you will ensure that India will only be doing outbound tourism and not inbound tourism. So you need to market India abroad to get external tourists. It's the fastest way to create jobs, is the fastest way to earn foreign exchange. That's
my question on upskilling and reskilling.
I'm coming to that.
Tell me about that.
So my view on that is that the world has gone through a major reset with AI and with quantum computing coming in, and it's a general purpose technology which will impact every single sector of the economy. And my view is that every single university, every single college, every single school must undergo a change of curriculum for the world of tomorrow. And that would mean that India would require more data scientists, more machine learners, more AI engineers. You need to be ready for this huge, it'll be a bigger revolution than we saw through electricity or we saw through computers. This will be the biggest of all revolutions. So you are seeing in the world conflicts, you're seeing breakdown in supply chains, but we are also living at a point of time when the world is going to see the biggest rise in productivity because of AI. And therefore, every single Indian has to get used to it, and that will happen if schools, colleges, universities all change their curriculum, because new jobs will get created only through this.
What about the quality of jobs? The biggest concern is that the moment we embrace AI, and it's inevitable, I agree completely, base level lawyers, chartered accountants, coders, any number of jobs, linguists, translators, I could go on, they will disappear overnight. That is lakhs and lakhs of jobs. In the absence of these jobs, what do people with degrees, for example, in computer science do?
So no onset of new technology has never led to loss of jobs. Vishnu, let me tell you this. The same fear, the same pessimism which you are raising right now was raised when electricity came in, when the Industrial Revolution came in, when computers came in. Same pessimism. When AI comes in, you will have new jobs getting created. These will be new variety of jobs. You will need more and more data scientists. You will need more product engineers. You will need more and more of machine learners. India should prepare itself for that revolution. Don't create fear. Don't create pessimism. Prepare yourself for the world of tomorrow. That's critical.
What about India's own AI stack? Are we doing enough? There has been this back and forth debate on whether India needs to get into large language models. Some suggest that it is inevitable. We've got a couple of companies trying to do that. Are we falling behind the curve when we look at what's there around the world?
So, three things on this, that India, on this AI revolution that is sweeping the world. First of all, let me tell you that no country is totally independent. In United States, you have computing power through NVIDIA. You have chips manufactured through TSMC, which is in Taiwan. You have lithography machine in Netherlands. And you have helium gas coming in from Qatar. And you have glass manufacturers from Germany. So there's interdependence. But AI models are all being driven by data. 20% of the global data comes from India, and if you read the latest Stanford AI index, you will realize that for the first time in India, last 9 years of Stanford AI index, you have reverse flow of talent coming into India. And this is coming in because of startups and because of global capability centers.
Also because they can't work anymore in America that easily.
Yeah, probably, but 2,717 global capability centers. So you have data, you have you have talent coming back, You have a digital public infrastructure which is very advanced in India. And let me also compliment the government, because you have the most progressive policy as far as data is concerned. It's not like Europe's policy. We have a forward-looking policy. So if you combine all this together, India needs to specialize in some areas. AI is going to get commoditized tomorrow. And it's very important that India is able to use its data, its talent, its progressive policy, and its digital public infrastructure to excel in AI in some areas. And what you see through Sarvam and many other, as that they're doing multilingual. AI will not be fit for purpose if it is not multilingual. AI will not be fit for purpose if it is not low bandwidth. AI will not be fit for purpose if you are not able to do applications which will transform learning outcomes, health outcomes, nutritional standards. So to my mind, India has a huge potential on the application side.
An area of the economy which interests me a great deal is space. Now, there is boundless potential for India in the space program. But some would say that the frugal engineering that we highlight constantly in ISRO is basically a problem at one level, because there is only so much that frugal engineering can do. If you compare Elon Musk and his venture, SpaceX, with what we are doing in India, there is a definite risk aversion in India. Elon Musk develops technology on the basis that, or through a prism of there will be losses, there will be rockets which explode, but we will keep testing, trying, paying, and then achieving. In India, we don't quite have that mindset of being risk averse. Is this something which impacts our space program and other areas?
No, it's not a question of risk aversion. It's your ability to spend risk capital. What happens in the United States is at the university level, when you do innovation, a lot of risk capital is made available. I mean, unending amount of risk capital. What you've seen you've seen about close to 1 trillion getting into AI models. I mean, Anthropic and OpenAI have been able to attract over 1 trillion. Look at this SpaceX IPO. I mean, suddenly you find that the wealth of Elon Musk has gone to 1.1 trillion, which is more than the GDP of Taiwan, because of the risk capital that is available. Nowhere else in the world so much of risk capital is available. And that risk capital is available at the university level for young students who then collaborate with their teachers, and the teachers take equity into their business model. So what India needs to do is to provide a long-term risk capital to its deep tech in a very big way. I mean, you have some very phenomenal startups in the space sector in India. I mean, you have Skyroot, and you have Dhruva, and you have Pixel. You have many path-breaking young startups. They need much more of risk capital available, and their valuation will then shoot up.
You know, the DRDO chief said some time back that unless we step up R&D investment in India, and he was talking about his sector, but I would suggest that this applies to sectors across the board, we are in deep trouble. There needs to be profound science and investment in engineering and other areas. Otherwise, this is all talk at one level.
So, you know, we do about 0.6% of our GDP on R&D. Korea does about 5%, US does about 4.8%, Japan does about 5%. So you need more resources to flow into. The private sector must also get oriented into doing more and more R&D. I mean, 3 years back, India reduced the corporate tax level. They gave away 1,50,000 crores. So the corporate balance sheet is booming. I mean, that money should go into more and more of R&D. So
why isn't it?
Huh?
Why isn't it? We all know it's common sense. You have to.
Yeah, so NDTV needs to push for more and more of new innovation, push more and more corporates into a greater amount of global penetration. You can't penetrate global economies without doing more and more R&D. You need new products. You need to move from generic to specialized pharma and so on. That needs to be done by the private sector of India. They need to be far more, research oriented.
In fact, private sector is my last question to you. Private sector investment in, for example, Indian infrastructure. All our new shiny highways are primarily driven by government investments, and which is important and great. But why is private sector in India not investing anywhere close to what we would like them to?
Vishnu, two things, and I mean, I want to make this point that since private sector is risk averse sometimes, but you've seen a lot of fresh investments also taking place from the Tatas have done some remarkable work in electronics and digital. L&T has spent a huge amount into new areas of growth. I would say that Reliance, Adani, Jindal, all these have done it. But you need to spread this momentum of investments to the next 250 odd companies into a very, very big way of movement for investments. The second point I would like to say is that greenfield investment in India sometimes becomes complex because it takes time. So you need to put out a lot of more brownfield investments out. You need to do more of asset monetization. And to raise productivity levels in India over a long period of time, we need to push for privatization of our public enterprises. The government 2 years back in its budget had announced that it will remain in only 4 strategic areas. It will sell out banks, it will sell out 2 banks, 1 insurance companies. We need to bring that table, that reform agenda back again center stage.
All right, bring the reform agenda back center stage. Amitabh Kant, wonderful speaking to you. There are so many areas, so many challenges, but the prospects are huge. Thank you very much indeed for joining us at NDTV Ignite.
Thank you.
Thank you.